Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant. Welcome back for more bonus episode fishing shenanigans. This time we're actually going to focus on lure fishing here in the fishing hole. And I like to head straight out to the center archway because there are a lot of nice fish you can find here. But generally the main fish that you're going to be fishing for here is the Hyrule bass. Now fishing with the lure is significantly different than just bobber fishing where all you had to do was pull down on the C-stick if you got a bite. Here you have to actually pull back on the joystick and hold down B at the same time! Oh my goodness, what a concept! Of course, it's a little more complicated than that. If the fish jumps out of the water, you have to get the line a little bit more slack, so you hold up on the joystick. And you actually have to land the fish when it comes very close to your boat, so you have to press the A button here. Now, what I tried to do with this fish, I knew the Hylian Loach was going to be a pain in the neck to catch because you have such a small window to land the fish. So I wanted to test to make sure whether or not rapidly tapping the A button when the fish was close to the boat would be a surefire way to catch it. And it turns out that no, it's not true. The game actually makes sure that you don't spam the A button when the fish is close to your boat, otherwise it just breaks the line, I guess. And you can see I'm just sticking with the traditional swimmer lure here, the one that looks like the yellow fish with the red nose or something, the standard one. And for some reason this fish didn't really put up anything of a fight, it didn't even jump out of the water. Just had to reel it in, and the line is actually going through the boat, that's awesome! It is making a sort of quacking sound like a dog. I'm not sure if that's the reel, that's the fish, or what, but it's an Ordon catfish, and the game doesn't like that I caught an Ordon catfish for some reason. Maybe they're trying to make fun of Link or something. And you can see I switched lures here. This is actually the popper lure. I'm not sure how to describe what it looks like, but it makes a popping sound when you reel it in. And it's generally a good lure for catching bass, but I really didn't bother checking too much which lure was best for catching what fish. And you can see here I'm fishing by the waterfalls, the twin waterfalls. Now one thing I want to show off before we continue on is these little bomb skits, or bomb skirts, I'm not sure what they're called, but they'll run around the barren province of Hyrule Field. And if you manage to kill them, you can actually get something you can bait your lure with. The same thing that you can find behind the sign on the fishing hole here. These three little brown spots. Dig those up as a wolf, and you get little worms. And you can use these to bait your fishing rod the same way you can bait them with bee larvae. And in fact, there's actually a beehive on the side of Hena's hut I didn't bother showing off. Probably should have. And I don't know if these worms are better or worse bait than bee larvae, but you only carry one of them at a time in your bottle, so I imagine they are more worthwhile to catch, especially since they're more difficult to come by. I've also found that if you fish next to this wall over here off the dock, you find these Hylian pikes fairly consistently. And that's actually the last fish that we had to find. I think we found pretty much everything else to fill out our fishing journal. And you can see since I exited and re-entered the fishing hole, seasons have advanced from spring to summer. Spring is when the cherry blossoms are in the trees. Summer is when everything is all nice and green. Fall is when, you know, everything turns orange and rustic. And winter, I believe there aren't any leaves in the trees in winter, but I never bothered to advance it there. I don't think there's any advantage to winter. But generally in summer you'll find bigger fish than you would in spring. And now I'm using the spinner lure. What I actually was fishing for before was a certain thing that you need to have the Hylian pike from lure fishing in order to catch. You need the Hylian pike, I want to say the Hyrule bass and, shoot, what's the third fish? You need 3 fish in order to catch this thing over here. This sinking lure, and you actually need to go lure fishing for those 3 fish in order to find this thing. And once you do, all you have to go is bobber fishing off of that end, and the first thing you catch generally will be that sinking lure. Now, what you should be very wary of when using the sinking lure is not to hire Hena as a guide if you want to use it, because she'll disqualify any fish you do catch with it. And I believe you can also catch what we're going after here, the legendary Hylian Loach, in the most northern part of the fishing hole. You can lure it towards you with the frog lure. I don't think any other lures besides that or the sinking lure will do it. And I believe once it's already on your fishing rod, you don't have to... it's the same for both lures. It's just a matter of whether or not it'll notice that you're there, or take the bait, so to speak. But it's a lot easier to use the fishing lure. Sinking lure. And you can see he's all the way in the back there, the area with the lily pads. You have to be super patient. I believe he only gives you one chance at catching him, even if you exit and re-enter the place. Or at least that's what a lot of other people have said. I've never tried. This is actually the first time I ever tried catching the Hylian Loach myself. In either of the games. So we wait for him to take the bait. Ever so patiently. And there he goes, fish on. Now this is going to be a fairly long fight, with not too much to talk about, really. Of course, I say that and I immediately stop talking, but you just have to make sure he stays on. I think the only way you can break the line is if you do something incredibly stupid. As long as you follow the commands on the bottom of the screen, you should be a-okay. I even noticed a couple of creatures hopping around on top of the lily pads. They are really tiny, and I don't know if you'll be able to see them in the playback, but they are actually there. I don't know what they are. Maybe they're some kind of bug or a really tiny frog. But you can see the Hylian Loach, even though he's right next to the boat, he's not getting any closer. And this is where I would generally start mashing the A button, because I don't know how close he is to the boat or not. You can't really tell. But I think the only reason that the game does this and not allow you to catch it immediately is to make sure that you're not spamming the A button, because if you were, the line would snap. But this guy takes his sweet time to get towards the boat. I mean, he's got a lot of energy, I'll give him that. But he spent so much time around the boat, he actually goes to the other side, and Link has to turn over his other shoulder. Now, the most difficult part is actually landing this guy, because sometimes the window for landing him is small enough that the A button doesn't have time to materialize on the bottom of the screen. But if you're fast enough, you should have a couple of opportunities to land him, and there we go, the legendary Hylian Loach. Speechless. So let's go back and show Hena what we've got. And of course, she's completely impressed with us. And she has no idea we used the sinking lure, because we didn't hire her as a guide. Oh well. She put it in the aquarium with all the other biggest fish we've caught so far. And our only other reward for catching the Hylian Loach is a photo up on the Wall of Fame. How were you there? And if I'm in the picture, how do you not know that I used the sinking lure? Doesn't matter. Oh wait, we have a world to save! We have to put together the Mirror of Twilight and kick Xant's ass! I guess we'll do that next time. See you later, guys.